our way of life is so heavily reliant upon electricity and its conveniences and all the things that means that a lot of people just couldn't make it. They could not make it. We are on some sort of life support and we don't even know it until it's gone. What do you think? Time for some new gloves, or I think these still got a couple miles left in them. Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Jason. My old Ford 8N tractor here is in need of some love and care. I don't know if you can tell what's going on there, but this is the oil or the coolant cap, radiator cap, and there's been oil getting into the coolant, and that tells me, based on my little bit of knowledge and research, that I probably got a blown head gasket, so we've got to take care of that today. It is a nasty, cold, rainy, ugly day, and I love it. And I wish I could send some of this to Texas. I hear over 1 million acres in Texas have burned up now, and it's still going strong. Man, I wish I could send some of this nasty, nasty wet weather to them. Man, my heart goes out to those people because there's going to be so many people affected by this. Lots of cattle have been killed, burnt up, from what I've read, what I've seen on a couple videos. Houses burnt up, towns. Tons and tons and tons of damage done by this, and infrastructure damage, power outages. Even after those people are able to return back to their homes after the fire is gone, the immediate danger of that's gone, there's still going to be repercussions of all the damage, and they're going to return to a mess that they're going to have to deal with. And I was thinking to myself, am I prepared for a mess like that? Am I prepared for the forest fire coming through my area, which could happen? Yeah, it definitely could happen. Not that many years ago, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of acres were burnt up right near me. We had a drought, didn't rain all summer long, basically, and then everything just poof, went up like a tinderbox. And if you look around, I mean, in dry conditions, there's plenty of kindling around to start forest fires. So right now, not going to be much of a problem. I don't think we could start a forest fire right now if we really, really wanted to. But it still makes you think, are you prepared for that immediate danger where you've got to abandon ship and get out of Dodge as quickly as you possibly can? And I thought to myself, am I ready for that? And I was watching, it's funny, I watch almost zero YouTube, which I know sounds kind of funny, kind of ironic, I guess, because I produce a lot of YouTube content. But the way I see it, if I have the time to watch YouTube, I should be out making YouTube. So it's hard for me to justify spending a lot of time on there. But anyway, if I do watch any videos on YouTube, it's generally unrelated to the field in which I make content. I don't watch a whole lot of survival related content. I like to watch adventure films and stuff like that. And I was watching this one adventure film. These guys were riding motorcycles in Nepal, and basically they were going through this small village that had just been wiped out by a flash flood, which is fairly common around those parts during monsoon season. Anyway, this wall of water, not just water, but mixed with mud and huge boulder rocks and stuff being pushed downstream, logs and things, pushed downstream at a rapid pace, just came through their town. And apparently they had a little bit, nobody died, luckily, because they had a little bit of a notice. The town upstream of them was able to give them about, I guess it was an hour notice. They said, you know, hey, you got an hour till that water gets to you. You got to get out of town. So everybody bailed out, and I'm sure they just grabbed the absolute necessities. They grabbed their loved ones, and they headed out. They grabbed the family dog, maybe. Maggie, they grabbed the family dog, perhaps. Oh, girl. Yeah, I'd bring you. But I'm reminded by these types of events, and I wonder how prepared am I for that situation? Could I load my family up with 1 hour notice? Think about this. Put yourself in that situation. If you had 1 hour notice, could you load your family up with all the necessities that you needed and get out of town as quickly as possible? And then, are you ready to face the aftermath? Are you ready to face what happens after that? The flash flood and wipes your house off the face of the earth. And, you know, insurance companies, think about, you know, during big hurricanes and stuff, and I'm thinking of major storm events where insurance companies aren't going to be able to pay for all of the damage that happens. What are you going to do then? There's places that still haven't recovered from Katrina. So it's definitely something to be considered. What will you do? Are you willing and able to face the aftermath of a huge event like that? Get out of there. Maggie loves to steal the chicken eggs. I think she waits for them to lay an egg and then she tries to get in there and grab one. I see her carrying them around the yard. Don't you, girl? She's actually pretty helpful at finding them when they don't lay where they're supposed to as well, which is kind of nice. Go. That would have been helpful if it wasn't full of fuel. Guess I could have drained it out. I jacked up my shoulder doing some jiu-jitsu last week. It doesn't feel very good. The past few days has just been hanging there, feeling miserable. I've been feeling sorry for myself. And my wife was, you know, all upset with me, you know, because I keep hurting myself doing various things. And you know, I try to be smart. I try to be smart about the things that I do, and I try not to deliberately injure myself anymore. But I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop training. I'm not gonna stop pushing it. I'm not gonna stop until the very last beat of my heart. I'm gonna batter and abuse this body until there's really nothing left in me. Of course, I gotta be a little bit smarter, and I gotta tone it down a little bit. If my shoulders hurt me, like I skipped jiu-jitsu this week because, you know, I knew that if I pushed it again, I would be pretty much useless. And then if my arm doesn't work, I don't work. And if I don't work, I don't make any money. And if I don't make any money, the kids don't get to eat. That's kind of a big deal to me. So I'm trying to be smart, trying to tone it down a notch, but I'm never going to stop. I'm just going to keep on. I'm going to do what I can. And I think that's important for all of us to understand, especially as we get a little bit older. I'm pushing 40 now. I'll be 40 in a couple months. And I can't tolerate the same abuse that I used to be able to do. I can't just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Eventually my body will break, and then I've got to stop altogether until I can heal, which takes forever, and nobody's got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm trying to be smart because being healthy and being able-bodied is super important. It doesn't matter. I could train super hard and push for elite fitness, and then I could break my body, and then I am not fit at all. I'm useless. So it's better to be undertrained than injured, for sure. And I'm learning that. I'm slowly starting to adapt to that. And man, I'm addicted to the performance. I want to be able to do the sub 6-minute miles and be able to lift 300 pounds over my head again. And I want to be able to keep all of that. I want to hold on to it tight. But I also have to swallow my pride. I gotta push it down. I gotta push the pride down and admit that I can't do what I used to do. And there's my pride says you can do it. You get out there and do the things. Stop being a punk, But my body, but again, like I said, if I push my point to the point where I'm injured and I can no longer do the things, I'm no good to anybody. So I've got to be smart. I'm not going to stop pushing. I'm not going to stop doing the things to the best of my ability, but I've just got to be a little bit smarter about it. All right, now we've got down to the nuts and bolts of the thing here. We can see what we're working with, and I can access these head bolts and move the head and get to this gasket. It's, for all I know, it's the original head gasket, and it's no wonder that it's a 1948. So it's lasted a long time, and it'd be a shame to let it go. It'd be a shame to let this tractor die. So I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to keep fixing things. It needs a whole lot of stuff, but I've only got so much resources that I can put into something like this. So I'm going to fix what needs to be fixed, and I'm going to keep rocking the thing. I didn't have this leaky head gasket problem until I replaced the radiator. And it's nothing that I did to it. There's no way. It just coincidentally failed at the same time that I had just replaced the radiator, just put all new coolant in there, flushed it all out, started fresh, and then this happened. Brand new radiator's a mess. So now I gotta flush everything back out again and start over. But that's okay. I'm learning as I go, and I like doing things with my hands. I like learning how to work on this stuff. And I enjoy working on the old stuff. Aside from the rusty bolts and stuck things that are bent and warped and difficult to work with, aside from that, working on the old stuff is great because it's just simpler, more mechanical, and easier to understand just by looking at it, as opposed to having to look up some sort of diagram on the internet to figure out what goes where. Pray that I don't break anything getting these old bolts out. I guess they're not bolts. It looks like they're studs with nuts on them. I'm amazed at how the human eye can spot the size of a bolt or nut from a distance and figure out what size it is. I'm amazed at that. Like, I'm not the best at it. I know some guys that can see it from a quarter mile away and be like, oh yeah, that's a 7/16. I'm not the best at it, but I'm always amazed when I get it right. I look at this and I say, 11/16. I pull it out, pop it on there, and it fits like a champ. It's crazy. It's crazy the human eye can do that and spot things that are unlevel, unplumb, unlevel. Man, you can just see what's right, what's wrong. How can we do that? It's amazing. It is amazing. Little tips of the trade, that I've learned along the way. And if you're new to mechanicing and you're just getting started out doing stuff yourself, and trick of the trade, always use the boxed in side of the wrench if you can, because it's much less likely to round off a bolt, especially when you're talking about old, rusted, already rounded a little bit bolts. Not that these look pristine because, like I said, probably never been off. But always use that boxed in side if you can, because you're much less likely to damage the bolt. Because if I was to jack one of these up and round it off, then we'd have a whole nother set of problems that's going to take, you know, what would take normally 30 seconds to get one of these out would take you an hour or more. Heating it up, torching it, using a bolt extracting tool, drilling into all the stuff that goes along with it. We don't want to get into that, so be careful not to round stuff off. All right, I got all these puppies loose. Praise the Lord, I did not break anything, round anything off. They all came loose, and now I can just spin them off there pretty quick with the impact. I do, however, before I start taking spark plugs out and taking this head off, I want to make sure that that's cleaned off. I'm gonna just take some compressed air to it and blow all that crap out of there, because when I take that thing off, I don't want all that dirt getting down inside the engine. I did a video not long ago about the top tools that every man should own kind of deal. Especially if you're just getting started out and you're curious about what tools you should invest in. And I laid out my most used tools, the stuff that I use, maybe not on a daily basis, but a weekly basis probably. The stuff that I use the most. And I left out a very important one, and that's an air compressor. You hear that running in the background? Man, an air compressor, you just need an air compressor. A small little one, that's all you really need. Pump up tires, use compressed air like this to clean stuff out, inflate basketballs, I don't know. Whatever. Having a little air compressor is really, really handy for a lot of things. It's been on there since 1948, so I guess one would expect that it's on there pretty good. On that same adventure film, they met up with a yak herder, and this woman was basically living off of the land. She was milking her yaks, making cheese, gathering wild berries and stuff and herbs and selling them to make a little extra income to buy some of the necessary supplies that she needed. But she was making stuff work with no electricity, pretty much completely off-grid kind of style living. And I'm encouraged by this, by seeing something like this, because it's possible. A lot of us worry, we worry, okay, the power goes out, everyone's going to die. Yeah, you know what? There's going to be a significant portion, even a small amount of people is a significant portion, but there's going to be a significant portion of people that will not make it if the electricity goes away for an extended period of time. And that's very, very sad. But it's because we've become so reliant upon it that we don't know how to live without it. Our system, our network, our way of life is so heavily reliant upon electricity and all the things and its conveniences and all the things that means that a lot of people just couldn't make it. They could not make it. We are on some sort of life support and we don't even know it until it's gone. But I'm encouraged by seeing people that live a simpler kind of existence because people can figure it out. My house could get washed away, right? It could get washed away in a flash flood right now, and we'd have to leave the area, but we could come back and we could rebuild. We could figure it out. People are so adaptive and so able to figure things out if they just have the right mindset, if they're willing and able to put in the time and the effort, and they can stay positive in the face of adversity, and they can persevere through some really, really difficult situations. And I know that the same is going to apply to the people in Texas. I know that a lot of people are going to struggle, and a lot of people are going to suffer. And that's really, really unfortunate. And it's really sad that a lot of people, there's several people have already lost their lives, I believe, from this fire. And I hate the fact that that's happening to people, but they will persevere. And I'm encouraged that people will figure it out. They will find a way to rebuild and get back to life. So yes, I think we should stay prepared. We should have our go bags ready to rock so we can jump in the vehicle and we can get out of here as quickly as possible if devastating events should occur. Yeah, be prepared. Absolutely. I'm always going to tell you to be prepared, but don't live your lives in fear, because we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. Yeah. Oop, what did I drop? All right, we just got to get this old gasket off here now. Clean up the surfaces and put a new one on. How hard could that be? Probably run better with a little dirt in there. These things were designed to have some dirt in the oil. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Leave us a comment. Any comment will do. Say a prayer for Texas in the comments section. Let me know what you think about old tractors and pain in the neck dogs that won't stop chasing chickens. Can't wait to see you on the next one.